different. We're not talking cars, we're not talking weather. There's a little weather behind me here, down here in Atlantis, Nassau, Bahamas down here. And what I'm going to talk about is, you know, something you may want to do someday, vacation down here at this resort. It's beautiful. They just celebrated their 25th year here in Nassau, Bahamas, and just about every year they've started developing more and more here. One of the things about it, depending on what time of year you come down, it can be very, very hot. Of course, as we get into the summer months, you'll have to watch the tropical weather. When it gets hot, you're going to need sun protection, of course, especially down here this far south. And what Atlantis does is they give you this thing to put water in, and they have water stations throughout the area. And again, I would recommend this. Water and all the other beverages become quite costly down here. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the resort itself, talking about maybe want to book a fishing adventure out of here. I did that the other day. This is day 5 of our adventure here, and we head out tomorrow morning. Storms on the horizon. Again, I'll have more on Atlantis throughout this video. It may get a little lengthy because there's a lot to do down here. Let's start with the nightlife. While we were down there, they were celebrating their independence, the 50th year for independence. Look at the harbor outside of the front of Atlantis. Just amazing yachts out here. And you can hear the Junkanoo Band in the background. So overall, it's paradise. Even at night, you can see one of the pools here by the Royal Towers lit up. Inside, though, everyone's busy. This is the casino. They're busy remodeling here. We actually had a pretty good stretch here, 3 days, where we were winning and rolling good on the craps table. And it's a good thing because we needed a little extra money to pay for our drinks. I'll have more on that coming up here a little bit later. But again, started off with about 300 and finished with quite a bit more. This is what will greet you at the Royal Towers. The entrance here, you may have a bus that drops you off. There's always taxis outside, by the way. They're just kind of waiting, and the people at Atlantis will help you out find a taxi that way. That's kind of where we ended up getting our taxi to go fishing. The entrance area, you can see that is part of the dig, and that's something we'll get into here in a little bit down into the video, probably about 5 minutes from now. But just everywhere you go, everything is over the top. And by the way, that area down there by the aquarium where the dig is, that used to actually be a restaurant. Here's some of the other features you'll find outside of the casino. This is moving from the Royal Towers towards the Coral Towers, and I'll talk more about the difference in the towers coming up here in a little bit towards the end of the video. For those that really, if you're on a budget, you want to go to Coral Towers and still enjoy everything out there, that's probably a good avenue to go, especially if it's your first time. Lots of shops out here to spend all your money that you hopefully made during the casino. Now, as we go outside, we're outside of the Royal Towers here. Just amazing, just what they've done with the landscaping out here. And one of the cool things is we pretty much tried to recreate a photo we had shot with my boys probably 15 years ago by this statue. So that's the other thing. This place has been here for 25 years now, and there's a lot of things that are standing the test of time with Atlantis. I began coming down here with weather conferences several years ago. You used to have a big hurricane conference down there, and that's kind of what drew my eye to this. We had, taken breaks from the Bahamas to go to Hawaii, but this was probably one of the best vacations I've had in a long time. You can see my wife out ahead running point as we go by the pretty flowers and the fountains. There are fountains and there are waterfalls everywhere. There's aquatic life everywhere you look, and they're constantly maintaining the pools out here as well. We're walking here towards one of the popular areas to take pictures. At that heart, there's a swing there. The line's usually not too bad. We were down there in July again, and you're not going to notice a whole lot of people. This is during the morning hours, but then there's that bridge. I think it's $100,000 a night maybe to rent that out. It's huge up there. But again, here's that pretty fountain with the flying fish there. And then here is our attempt to recreate a photo we took several years ago right there. I don't think we quite got it nailed down, but as I mentioned, you've got streams just about everywhere. Of course, a lot of this is all man-made. you can kind of imagine what they have to go through. And this was during a hurricane, and this is one of the questions I asked when I was down there a long time ago. It's stingrays here. They have to move a lot of these animals, especially the larger species. They have to move them out when a hurricane threatens. Plenty of bars along the way. This is the walk to the beach. We're pretty much moving from the Royal Towers, and we're going through this area. Good spot for a Bloody Mary. Not all Bloody Marys are made the same, though. But I learned that in some of these places. Some of these people just put Bloody Mary. They make it just vegetable juice and tomato juice, that is, and vodka, and that's about it. But I like a little bit more to it. Now, as we go over this bridge here, this is the lagoon that goes out, and it's a pretty beautiful area out here. You can see the kind of the coral towers and the beach towers off in the distance. You can see my favorite restaurant there. We'll have more on that. The Lagoon Bar and Grill. That probably is the best money. The money went farthest at that restaurant, and the food was good. It had a really good menu there as well. I'll talk more about some of the other restaurants we went to coming up later in this, if you stick around long enough. There's plenty of maps around the area. There's not. They used to have paper maps, but that's kind of going away from that. I think environmentally, a lot of people are going away from that. And of course, the paper straws are going more to paper straws than plastic. Nice slow pan here, the lagoon. That's the casino, the outside of the casino, by the way, on the left there. And then as you see the Royal Towers there, off on the right. The rooms have been renovated there. I wish I should have taken a shot of the room before we messed it all up in there. But the room sizes are pretty nice. I would check and double check and make sure if you want a balcony that you get a larger balcony. It's going to cost you more, but some of these balconies are only like you've got 1.5 feet just to walk out. You can't sit out there really. This is how we approach the beach. Always check the flags out here. This particular day, I don't think it was quite a red and yellow flag day. It was probably more of a green, yellow. As you'll see, the water was really nice. But again, we had jellyfish out there. They do have chairs out here for you. This is Atlantis Beach, and this is basically between the Royal Towers and the Coral Towers and the Beach Towers. The farther you go down, the less crowded it is. And thankful for that. I mean, the other part of it, it's July. It's hot. I think the heat index was about 105, 106. When I've gone down there in April, it's been a little busier. It's still warm in April, but overall, it's pretty nice. The beach is great here. The sand is perfect, and the water was just amazing. And I'll show you that. I actually went under water with my phone. Got a new iPhone. I just decided to test it out. But you'll see here those inflatables and the jet ski rentals. They want you to rent those, but these people are not associated with the actual resort. And from what they say in a letter you'll see coming up here in a second, they are not allowed to they are not part of the resort, but they can do what they want because this is considered, I believe, public property down there in the Bahamas. So there's a look at the water clarity. Occasionally we would see schools of fish, so bring your snorkeling gear, bring your fins. This is the swimming area here, but the water clarity was just absolutely perfect out there. Here's that letter they're talking about. This is like a homeland security issue here, talking about how you should be very careful. Given the circumstances, we strongly advise against renting anything there. Here's the map of Atlantis. You can just see how massive this place is. They pretty much started over here with the beach tower, the coral tower. When I first started going down here, they would have the Royal Towers was just finished up, and it was kind of the creme de la creme, so to speak. Here's leading up here into the Lagoon Bar and Grill. They've got sharks, they've got tarpons, they've got sawfish. It's just incredible the amount of aquatic life they have here. So I'm sure that provides a lot of marine biologists a good job. And just the craftsmanship of everything they've done. Look at the ceiling here. Just takes you back to what would be the old Atlantis, so to speak, right? When they thought the whole idea up of the sunken city. Getting ready for lunch here. But really had a great lunch there. But look up in the ceiling, and you're going to see here in a minute as we go down towards where the restrooms are. You follow this sign here, and it goes underneath that water. So as you go down the stairs, again, the over the top continues. You've got snakes, maybe eels there as part of the railing. And great picture taking spots here. And it's also cooler down here. That's another good takeaway on a hot day. And we'll talk about going to the Dig here as well on a hot day. That's coming up. But just all sorts of fish. If anything, I think they could clean the glass a little bit better in some of these areas. Because I think that's a tarpon there. But overall, the kids love it. My kids loved it at the time. They love it now, too. They're in their teens and early 20s. But just all sorts of marine life going on here. And they do a really good job. They've got feeding schedules and things like that. You can follow that and more information. This is the view of the tunnel. Again, you saw this from above earlier, but just the fish going by as if nothing's really bothering them there. But again, this is the cool part. It's temperatures are probably in the 70s in here versus 100 degrees outside. It's a fairly long walk through. Again, pushed a stroller through here a few times as well, and it's nice and smooth there for you traveling with children as well. You just kind of see the outer edge here and some of the work they're doing to help the marine animals survive and thrive. Blue Project here. You can read more about that there. Again, with the climate changing and everything, we're getting a lot of issues with coral reefs getting too hot and all that stuff. But here's one of these. Boy, this is just a prehistoric fish there, the sawfish, and they basically use the part of the sawfish, the what look like teeth on the outer edge, kind of looks like just an edger you would use at home to trim your bushes. But they grow a lot of algae and just funk on there, so to speak, and it attracts other fish, and that's how they get them. There's a bunch of these ballyhoos in here as well, and that's pretty much what some of these bigger fish like to eat. At least that's what I fish with. The stingrays way down at the bottom. There's a few manta rays out there. There was a really big manta ray several years ago. We were wondering what happened to him. Now as we kind of focus on the pool areas, there's several swimming pools. I didn't get a chance to get to all of them. And that's the other thing. There's so many things to do. And this is closer to the Coral Tower. And this is a pretty cool swimming pool here. As you kind of walk around, I don't show you the rope bridge, but it's pretty cool. Good picture spot there. So as you kind of go down the road here towards the Coral Towers, that's where we run into this pool here. It's a pretty awesome pool. You've got a lot of areas to sit, some cabanas. I didn't check the price on those. I'm sure it's pricey. Everything's expensive. So just go in there with the mindset of I'm not going to focus on how much money I'm spending, because it will add up in a hurry. Focus on that when you get home. They've got this bit of a swim up bar here, and there was really good service there. You can see my wife walking around with her orange floaty, and she highly recommends that. And we'll have more on that orange floaty coming up. But those are the Coral Towers in the background. You can see my sons there leaving the bar. But again, all these places are connected. Even when you go to some of the harbor areas, it's connected to your hotel room key if you want to charge everything to your room. The pool water, it was interesting. Some of the swimming pools are a little cooler than others, and it's probably due with the more waterfalls they have, the more it's going to cool the water. I didn't really see any waterfalls here. This pool here was a little warmer, so we kind of go down the road and find our next pool over here. And this was going to be close to Aquaventure. I don't have anything on Aquaventure. I do have here's the grotto pool, but I do have the shark slide coming up. But Aquaventure's really, really cool. You've got basically a water slide inside the water park. We'll touch base on the lazy river that's not so lazy coming up. What's cool about this particular pool here is you've got these waterfalls. There's going to be a few seagulls above here as well, so you may want to watch out for those. But you can cool off. You can kind of escape the crowd, so to speak. Again, it wasn't all that busy. Kind of a look from inside one of those grottos as you look off. The palm trees, the sunshine. So again, you get a break, and just the overall sound. It's just relaxing to be out there. So that was some good family time there. I think this was the second day we were there. My son Ross coming to join up in the cooler spot here, enjoying. You really, you can't really have a beer in the pool. They don't like that. If you have like a clear drink, like with vodka, they typically will look the other way on that. But just no getting in the pool areas with the actual beer. So I'm not sure what the whole point is on that. But anyway, there's my wife with her floaty and her phone out. She had a great time as well, by the way. But overall, this pool was cooler, and I think it has to do with the circulation, the fact that the waterfalls there helped cool things off a little bit more. But plenty of space around the pools. A lot of time you're fighting, trying to get your towels to reserve your spot, but really didn't run into too many issues out there. Some days were a little busier than others. So as you go from there to the other pool here, the Royal Baths pool, and this was right out in front of the Royal Towers. And you can see my wife there in the bottom with her orange floaty. Again, there she is. She got that. That's something you can easily travel with. It's, you inflate it. Here's the shark slide, and the shark slide was really cool. I remember when I was younger going through this, and all the kids are like, we're going to go through the sharks and everything. So they like that. There's two things going on here. You've got one that is a tube ride. You have to go with a tube. And the other one is basically you're going straight down with your arms crossed on the front and your legs out in front of you. I will tell you the tube line is a little longer than the other one, and you don't have to carry a tube to go to the other one, so you just kind of go down and slide down. And on the other side of this, there's two other slides, and you basically, it has a radar, so you can have races with that. So that's pretty cool if you got kind of a father-son, father-daughter, or mother-son, mother-daughter matchup. This is the side that comes out with the two tubes, and you kind of see up top there. But again, just magnificent architecture here with everything going on within this. They've got towel locations pretty much scattered about the park. You can find them anywhere. The lazy river here that's not so lazy. This is getting closer to sunset. That's why it's not nearly as busy as it is in the middle of the day. But basically all these tubes are out there. You've got a combination of one-seater or a two-seater going through. You will get wet if you take the entire route, as it goes quite a ways. This is a fairly long tube ride. You can see us passing through. Mom shooting a video of us here coming down. So you do have a pretty good speed coming down here, but there are some slower spots, and there's some really cool spots that will really pick you up and take you downstream at the very beginning, and that's going to be over closer to the cove and the reef over there, probably closer to the cove side, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. This is one thing that's changed. They kind of close off, so you have to get out of the water and walk across land and get back on the other side of the lazy river. And I don't know why they did that, but I didn't have anybody to ask. This is the Cove Beach. When you get there, you're going to have armbands, and they will say what beach you can go to, get access to. Nobody really stopped me here, but this is more for people staying at the cove or at the reef. It's a nice little shallow area here. There's no real wave action going on in this area. So as far as beaches go, if you've got the kids and you just kind of want to keep an eye on them, not worry about rip currents, things like that, it's a pretty good area in here. It's pretty well protected by that jetty that you see there. And you can also see the Cove of Atlantis off in the distance. I didn't quite get over that property or the reef, didn't get to the Dolphin Cay area as well, but oh well. Maybe another time. Again, this was a trip, there were 6 of us, so the costs kind of go up exponentially when you travel with family. So I had a great time, though. We used to travel. We'd travel, and we'd all be able to share a room, but now we're all getting older, so we don't get to do that anymore. Harbor Resort. This is a cool spot. I believe you'd have to double check on this, but last time I looked, I think if you stay here, you can still get access to Atlantis and everything that they have to offer. And that's true of some of the other hotels around there, but you're going to have to pay a resort fee. This is on our way to the marina, and there's always something in the road
guy that's got to go all the time.
And this one is a porta potty.
That's like
So
that
we
incontinence
headed to a
commercial.
construction site. There was a golf cart going the wrong way one day, and then there was a guy riding a concrete buggy going the wrong way as well. So this is the bridge you go over. I believe it's $1, maybe $2 when you come back to Paradise Island. So we're going from Paradise Island here over to Nassau, and you take a left as you go across the bridge, and everything's on the left side of the road too, so it's opposite.
I actually don't doubt that.
You want to stop at the liquor store?
Did you want to stop at the liquor store, Ross?
What time we got?
Is it like it's
We
right
got
over?
time.
Yeah,
It's
we're-
right there.
Yeah, let's do that.
You can do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
I ain't take that now.
They can't leave without us, but they
Yeah.
already did once.
Exactly. Here's where our fishing adventure begins. The boat was gone when we got there. We were supposed to have a morning trip. More on that in just a second. But the marina itself, pretty nice. Check this out right here.
Look at that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was a nice surprise. A shark out in the wild. Anyway, we got going in the afternoon after the morning debacle. We got there, and Hunter Charters is who I went with, and I will not recommend them. The thing about it is, when you go out and you've already done a lot of fishing charters, sometimes you just get a boat cruise, as some of you know. And what I've been finding out by talking to some of the locals is that you want to get a whole day. Now, my previous experience with whole days, I've been to many areas deep sea fishing. Sometimes the whole day cruise is basically just them screwing around until you get out to your site and then you come back. But what's different in the Bahamas is you've got to get out about an hour, and I believe it's Grand Bahama that they said was good fishing there. Here's a look at what we believe is Michael Jordan's house down there in the Bahamas as we're heading out to sea. So that was pretty cool to see. Everybody else pretty much got excitement out of that. I know my youngest son, Drake, really enjoyed that. He took lots of pictures of that. It's like, I think that's Michael Jordan's house. So in the meantime, nice blue water here we found over a reef, but there wasn't a whole lot of fishing going on, catching going on. I'll say that. We did a lot of fishing out there. These are called grunts. They're pretty good eating, though. We ended up going to what's called the poop deck, which is just a short walk from where we came back from the marina. Everybody had a good time, and this is probably the only video I got of someone actually catching a fish here. The guides were great. Again, the problem with the booking was not their problem at all. This is Gilligan's Island, the intro to Gilligan's Island. We actually went out there. We swam out there, and it's interesting on that island as we're leaving here. There are a bunch of bones out there, bird bones and crab bones have been eaten. So that pretty much summarizes the fishing trip. Okay, so this is the place to be right here when it's hot outside. You've had a long day walking around, the kids maybe cranky and tired. It's called the Dig. And it's really cool down here. You've got basically you're underneath the above area from the casino. Lots of fish here. There's some eels in here. And you can just have fun. You can take good photo opportunities here. More of this ancient type writing on the walls, which just gives it that mystique. It's really cool. And it's cool down there. It's quiet. We got the jellyfish here as well. And it wasn't very crowded. Again, nothing you see on this video is going to be very crowded, which is going to make you think, hey, it's not very crowded there. But again, it was summertime. It was hot. But the jellyfish, just kind of fascinating just to watch them. These are the lobsters, and they are everywhere. And they've got they actually turned the light off. We were there probably pretty late, but again, lots of lobsters crawling around in there. And you just kind of stimulates the younger kids' minds, I would believe, by looking at all this stuff and just thinking of a sunken city here of Atlantis. Just more varieties of fish down here. This is where they used to have there's a big grouper Goliath. There's 2 Goliath groupers down here. And overall, there's my wife. She met that handsome young man there. And then, the sound here is you get the steam coming out of this hole over here as if it's like some kind of torture chamber or something. I'm not sure. But again, no expense was spared when they designed a lot of this here. So, I mean, that's pretty cool there. So as you go back outside, kind of take a visit you can walk the shops here. This is our way to Margaritaville. So it's about a 5-8 minute walk. You can go either side. You can take the harbor area, and there's shops here. There's this, I think that's Sip Sip there. We ate dinner there the first night. It was nice. Some good hamburgers in there. And of course, the menus are always outside, and you can view those as well. But as we approach Margaritaville, this used to actually be a place where people would meet to dock, to go out on their day trips. But looks like Mr. Buffett has changed it. They've got a swim-up bar outside. It wasn't busy at all. Again, it was just hot, so I can't imagine sitting in there in the blistering heat. But everything about Jimmy Buffett's, I mean, the food was great. The drinks were good there as well. And, I'd say the prices were probably a little lower as you get off the main resort here. But as far as going into town, you want to be very, very careful. You can see the two bridges. The one on the left is going towards Nassau. The one on the right is coming towards Paradise Island. That's the one you pay like $1 or $2 once you get off of it. But they kind of discourage going in town itself. But again, read up all the warnings and everything from the U.S. They'll put out warnings and stuff like that. So dining area is nice. Really big fans in there. And my son ended up having the volcano nachos. So you can see us sitting down. Everybody's got water. Those are the volcano nachos, and they were amazing. So back to the beach we go. Again, the water was perfect. We spent a lot of time on the beach. And that's the other thing about the rooms. I stayed in the Royal Towers. We wanted to stay together. But you could do the beach towers. You could do the coral towers. Or, of course, you could upscale and go to the Cove as well. Now it's time to talk drinks. The drinks are ridiculously expensive. But as I mentioned earlier, don't worry about it. That plate right there was $150. Of course, two of those were double pina coladas. But again, that's a $40 drink. That's Click. That's what they're known for, Click. And then here's the Click Gold. And it's extra strong, 7%. This was what we picked up on the cab ride, basically there. They do have drinks available as you go out, and you can charge it on your room, but it's very expensive. I don't think you can get a very good look at that sign. But you go order a drink for 4 or 5 people, it's going to be at least $120. So what we would do, we would refill cups and everything. We tried to go in. This is where we first stopped. This bar which sold alcohol. So we go in here thinking we're going to save money, buy it before we get there, and this amount of alcohol was still expensive. Here's a liquor store I mentioned earlier on the way to the marina. They actually had some decent prices, like $60 for a bottle of Jack. They had Buffalo Trace in there too. However, it's real sketchy when you get too far off the reservation, so to speak. I just want to summarize some of that vacation. Again, I had a wonderful time down there in Atlantis in the Bahamas, and I'm sure I'll be back again. Just want to give you a little bit of advice. It doesn't really matter what towers you stay at down there. It just gets more expensive as you go up the coast, basically, starting from the beach towers, the coral towers, to the Royal Towers, and then you get into the more upscale, the newer resorts up there. But really had a great time. The beach is really what I'm after. The beach, and you get all those pools, at least with the Royal Towers, all the way down to the Coral and Beach Towers, and there's great views out of every one of them. One thing I would recommend, though, is maybe take a spare bag and fill this up, or fill it up with clothes, and then put that bag back in your luggage, because you can also take food. That's what I would recommend. Food, or maybe some of the other beverages you want to take. It'd be worth the $30 to put in one suitcase, and then you have one of these bags and you just stick that back in the suitcase. So on your way home, you won't have that extra charge. So again, that's just some advice there, but you can have a great time down there. Do your homework, especially when it comes to those fishing charters.